Chapter 4. Reunited. I felt like now that the pictures had helped her to recollect her memory, this would be a good time for my brothers to come in. I asked her if I could call my brothers in to talk with her. She looked afraid and said, "No, not yet. I have some business I have to take care of before I can meet them." I told her that they traveled a long way just to see her, and they would feel sad if they had to go all the way back home and not be able to talk with her. I told her that if they do not get to meet with her while we were in town, there might not be another opportunity. She said she was not ready. Feeling afraid that she may never be ready, I asked her if I could ask them to come in one at a time and assured her they would not ask her anything about her life. She said, "No, not yet. I need to see them first." I knew she was feeling nervous and confused, so I told her that was why I wanted to bring them in, so that she could see them. "So, may I call one of them in now?" I asked. She looked at me with a nervous look on her face and did not say anything for about 30 seconds. Then her face looked less afraid and she said, "Okay." I became excited and asked her which one of her sons she wanted to reunite with first. She said, "Wait, not yet. I'm not ready. I have to take care of my business." At that point, I very gently reminded her that she said it would be okay if they came in one at a time. She said, "Oh yeah, okay." I asked her once again which son she wanted to reunite with first. She said, Grayson." I told her I would go get him out of the car and I would be right back. Excited, I hurried out to the car where my brothers were anxiously waiting and told them she was ready to meet Grayson. My announcement was met with confusion as they all seemed perplexed as to why she only wanted to meet Grayson. They asked me if she knew who we were now and if I was sure she was actually our mother. In that moment, I had to focus on several things. Getting Grayson into the house to meet Geneva before she changed her mind. Explaining that she was more comfortable meeting them one at a time and she chose Grayson as the first. Calming their valid concern as to why I believe she is actually our mother. Calming Jerome's disappointment about her choosing to meet Grayson first instead of him. I quickly told Jerome I believe she asked for Grayson first because he sent in the card and pictures. Grayson humbly asked, "For real?" She specifically asked for me as he was opening the car door and stepping out onto the sidewalk. I said, "Yes," and quickly explained to Jerome and Terrence that our mother was not comfortable with all of them coming in at once. I also rapidly told them that she specifically asked about Terrence and Denisha without me ever telling her their names. Then I rushed off to walk with Grayson. We walked into the house together, went back to Geneva's bedroom, and knocked on the door. She opened the door. We walked in, and she sat back down on her bed. Smiling, Grayson walked over to our mother. He gave her a hug and a kiss, and she happily accepted. Grayson was careful not to ask her anything about her life. He talked to her about some fond memories he had held about her over the years. Specifically, he reminisced about a time when he was a little boy and he gave her some money because he knew she needed it. He told her that he and his family were doing well and that he was able to provide her with a better life if she so desired. He told her how much he loved and missed her. The whole time, she looked at him and nodded her head in a yes motion, giving a smile every now and then. Grayson ended his time with our mother by asking her if he could take a picture of her. She said, "Yes." Feeling jealous, I asked Mother if I could have a picture with her. She said, "Okay." So I sat beside her. She straightened up her cap and Grayson took the picture. Then Grayson took the picture that he wanted of her by herself. Mother seemed more comfortable and happily allowed us to take the pictures. During the exciting picture-taking moment, after sitting next to her for the picture, it dawned on me how very small my mother's statue was. For a few moments, I wondered how my 7-foot-tall father was able to bring himself to hit this tiny woman. She could not have been any taller than 5 feet 2 inches. After Grayson enjoyed Mother for a few more minutes, I asked Mother which of her sons she wanted to see next. She said, "Oh, okay. I want to see Devon." So I asked Grayson if he would go out to the car and ask Jerome to come in. Jerome's middle name is Devon, and my mother remembered him as Devon, but we now call him Jerome. Grayson said his goodbyes to Mother, then went outside to the car and sent Jerome in. After a few minutes, Jerome knocked and I let him into the bedroom. He walked over to where our mother was sitting and gave her a big bear hug and a great big kiss and was very happy to see her. She had a humongous smile on her face. Like Grayson, Jerome was also respectful in not asking her any personal questions. Instead, he told her how much he had missed her. He reminisced about how he used to call her Mommy when he was a little boy. With a happy look on her face, she said, "All of my kids called me Mommy." Sitting on the bed next to hers, he recollected how she instilled in him a sense of spirituality and that he strives to be a good person today because of it. He recalled how she was a great cook and that she made the best homemade rolls and cookies. She said she was not sure she agreed she was a good cook, but she certainly had a huge grin on her face the whole time he was talking about it. Jerome told her he was a good cook too. She said, "Oh yeah?" and asked him what he could cook. He told her he baked pies really well and that he cooks full holiday meals, complete with items like turkey, dressing, macaroni and cheese, greens, and cornbread. He even told her about the few times when he invited me over to his home to partake in the delicious home-cooked meals. "You can ask Grace. She has been over for holiday dinners," he bragged. At first, I teased him by saying he can't cook. Then I immediately confessed I was just joking and that he was actually a great chef. Jerome went on to tell our mother that he was doing well for himself. He showed her pictures of himself, his son, his house, his truck, and his wife. He expressed how much he loved and cared for his wife. Then, he actually called his wife using the video chat feature on his phone to let our mother see her and talk with her. "You are beautiful," Jerome's wife said. The compliment caused our mother to smile and even blush a little. It gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling, too. While they were chatting, one of Geneva's roommates knocked on the bedroom door because she wanted to come in. I got off the bed I was sitting on, went to the door and opened it. She walked into the bedroom, went to the closet as if she was looking for something. While standing in front of the closet, she cleared her throat as a way of getting my attention. I looked over at her. She whispered, "Do you have any change you could give me?" Realizing I was actually sitting on her bed, I smiled and told her that since she was kind enough to allow me to sit on her bed, then I would give her some change. I reached in my pocket, pulled out all of the change that I had, and gave it to her. She said, "Thank you," then left. After the video chat, Jerome continued to reminisce. He recalled that our mother was a great piano player, that she enjoyed sewing and knitting, and how she loved to polish her fingernails. With a smile on his face, he told her, "You used to always be sitting at the dining room table, polishing your fingernails." She smiled. Absently, I looked down at her hands, noticing chipped red nail polish on each finger. I guess she still enjoyed polishing her fingernails. Jerome's time with our mother ended in yet another photo session. Just before leaving, he reminded our mother that she had his phone number and she was welcome to call him anytime. He told her that he was capable of providing for some of her needs and she could feel free to ask. He talked with Mother for a few more moments. Then she was ready to meet Terrence. Jerome lifted himself off the bed, said his goodbyes to Mother, and went to the car to send in Terrence. Within a few minutes, Terrence showed up at the door of Mother's bedroom. I opened the door and in he walked. He began his reunion by giving her a big hug and kiss and telling her how much he had missed her. During his reunion, Terrence asked her if she liked living in the boarding home. She hesitated, then said it was okay, but she did not like the residents stealing from her. She said she could not have anything of value there and that she used to have a television, but it was stolen. Well, if you ever want to leave here and come live in Kansas City with us, just call me and I will make it happen, he told her. I will let you know, she said. I have a lot of business to take care of before I can consider moving. Whereas Grayson and Jerome did most of the talking during their reunions with our mother, she had become more comfortable and talked a lot during Terrence's reunion. At the beginning of her reunion with me, she did not want to talk about her personal life. However, by this time, she was sharing some very personal information about herself. She volunteered the fact that she had 10 children. Terrence and I looked at each other with surprised expressions on our faces. Then I asked her, "So you had 4 more children after you left?" She said, "Yes." I told her I was aware of 3 of them who she left in the hospital, but not the 4th one. I told her about the call my grandmother had received from a hospital asking if she would take her set of twins after she left them in the hospital. I told her that my grandmother was also informed about her little girl that she left in the same hospital 3 years before the twins. I asked her if she wanted me to try to find them. She said, yes. I asked her for the names of the hospitals they were born in, and she gave them to me. I asked her for their names and dates of birth. She told me their first names. She had difficulty recalling their dates of birth, but did her best to give me the correct dates. She said she used to have a list of all of her children's names and birth dates, but she had lost all of her belongings. This was an amazing moment for me because I had longed to find the siblings my mother had after she left. However, I had no idea of the children's names, and I did not know anyone who could give me even a clue. Therefore, finding them had been close to impossible. Finally, here I was sitting in front of my own mother, and she was telling me the names she gave to each of them. I was able to acquire this long-awaited information directly from the person who named them, something I had never thought would happen in this lifetime. I felt happy she was being so open after being so cautious at the beginning, but I did not want to hinder that moment. So, I treaded lightly as not to bombard her with all the other questions I had carried in my mind for so many years. I put a little time, space, and careful consideration between each question. I did muster up the courage, however, to ask her if she ended up marrying the man named Calvin and if she and the additional 4 children shared his last name. She said yes to both questions. Then I asked her how long she and Calvin were together. She said 2 years. It was very nice to learn details about what her life has been like since she left us 5 decades ago. Terrence asked her how she was doing overall. She said her hip hurts all the time, but otherwise she was doing okay. I asked her if I could take a picture of her with Terrence. She said yes, but that she would have to smile with her mouth closed because she was very embarrassed about her teeth. I used to have some pretty teeth, she said. All of a sudden, they just started falling out. I don't know what happened. She expressed how much she would like to have her teeth fixed. I told her I knew she used to have pretty teeth because I saw them on the picture of her that I had kept all of those years. I snapped the picture of her and Terrence, then she continued to talk openly with us. As she went on talking, she recited Devon's date of birth. Terrence looked at me in amazement that she actually knew that information. She also recited Carla's middle name. I asked her if she remembered mine. She said, I didn't give you one. I felt very surprised to learn that she did not give me my middle name. I told her it was LaJoy, but it did not ring a bell with her. Just then, I remembered how my birth record showed LaJoy on the final days of my hospital stay, indicating someone added it at the last minute. So, if my mother did not give me that name, then who did, I wondered. While she and Terrence continued to talk, I veered away in my thoughts, thinking that my grandmother must have given me my middle name. I was silently remembering how she used to correct me whenever I stated it incorrectly. I used to think the correct way to say it was Joy. However, my grandmother would correct me and say, "Your middle name is LaJoy with a la at the beginning." So then I began to call myself Grace LaJoyce. Again, she would correct me and say, "Your middle name is LaJoy with no s at the end." Reminiscing about her insisting I stated it correctly led me to presume that grandmother was indeed the person who had given me that middle name. Towards the end of her time with Terrence, our mother had mentioned several times that she needed to go eat her dinner. She was careful not to make us feel unwanted, but she just really wanted to go eat. Finally, we realized how badly she wanted to go eat, so we rapidly began to wrap up our visit. We asked her if she needed anything. She said, "Do you want to know what I really need? Money." Then she laughed. We had already planned to give her money, so we both took some bills out of our pockets and gave them to her. We were concerned about giving her cash due to the living environment she was in because she lived with people who she said steal from her and who had begged us for money. Out of my concern, I asked her if she knew how to protect her money. She said yes. She kept it in her purse, which she wore strapped around her neck and across her chest at all times. As we were walking towards the front door to leave, we saw the very large dinner rack. We also noticed there was only one plate of food on it, so we guessed it was hers. In hindsight, we realized that if she had not come for dinner when she did, one of the other residents would have taken her plate and eaten her dinner. After she had secured her dinner plate, I asked her what her favorite food was. She said, "Fried chicken." I asked her if she wanted us to bring her some the next day and have dinner with her. She said yes, with a smile on her face. Terrence was in agreement with coming back the next day, too. As we were leaving out of the door, she reminded us with excitement in her voice, "Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, don't forget." We said, "Okay." As we were leaving, we each hugged our mother and gave her a kiss on the jaw. In turn, she gave each of us a kiss on the jaw, too. We proceeded to walk out of the door and join Jerome and Grayson in the car. We were talking about the very emotional reunion we had just had with our mother. Terrence told Jerome, "Man, she knew your birthday, and nobody had even told her." He seemed amazed by that, which let me know that just like our mother truly needed to understand who we were, he truly needed to feel sure that she was our mother. When we told Jerome and Grayson we had promised our mother that we would come back the next day with fried chicken, Grayson was okay with it. My thought was that since we were there to see her, then I expected we would spend as much time as we could with her. Jerome's thoughts were different. "I will not be joining you all for dinner with Mother tomorrow," he announced. I believe Jerome only needed the memory of reuniting with her and knowing that she was okay. I believe he found closure after she had accepted us. He wanted memories that he could share with his offspring, nieces and nephews, and he got that. As he drove us all back to the hotel, I had time to do some silent thinking of my own. I initially felt like since Geneva was my mother, who carried me in her stomach for 9 months, she should have accepted me immediately, no questions asked. What I did not think about was this. Just like we bombarded her with questions at the beginning because we wanted to be sure of who she was, she also needed the opportunity to be sure exactly who we were, especially since she had 10 children whom she had been separated from for decades. She needed to be able to understand whether we were the first set of 6 children she left in Kansas City or the second set of 4 children that she left after her departure from us. I guess when a person has been living in denial about having children for so many years, they do not just snap out of it in one moment. I had to sit with her, talk softly to her, show her pictures, be kind and gentle, and introduce my brothers slowly and carefully, one at a time, while eagerly hoping she would accept each of them before we traveled back to Kansas City. I felt like we had just had a very productive day. When we returned to the hotel, we ate dinner, then retired to our rooms for a good night's sleep.
If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.